All right, we're live.
All right, let me go hop on Twitter first. Give a shout out to We Gotta Believe. Episode 70.
Episode 70.
We're back.
Yeah, this is our first time with you, Kev, since
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm back. You guys have done a couple. I haven't had a chance to chime in yet. This is my first episode since the dynasty began, since our run began. I am cheesing ear to ear almost every single day. And while I was already happy to just jump in and start talking Steve Cohen, Clem also, before we start, brings up the name Cindy Margolis, a blast from the past. If you're our age or near that, Cindy Margolis was one of those like hot chicks who, like, prior to Instagram and prior to social media and the internet, you know, there was only like a handful of hot chicks in the world. She was kind of just like, she was in WWF for a little bit, but she also was just kind of like just there, right? She wasn't like an actress or anything. She would just like make appearances on Howard Stern and be hot. Right?
Yeah, that's what I think of. Like, what did Cindy Margolis do? I feel like she was on the E! Entertainment Howard Stern show at 11 o'clock that turned all of us into men. It turned us from boys to men. That and Wild On at 11:30. And that's all I know her from. I'm looking at, she was a fucking fembot in Austin Powers. Had no idea. She might have been the fembot. She might have been the leader. I don't know.
Probably,
other than that, we're looking at a lot of stuff that sounds like Playboy.
She was in Playboy. She did. She produced cards. This is how old school we're talking. She produced playing cards with pictures of herself wearing lingerie. I mean, that is as fucking old school as it gets, where it's like, how can I just get my hot ass out there? Let me just here's a deck of cards with me looking hot on it. That is a beautiful thing. But do you remember the other girl on the WWF? She wasn't one of the divas. She wasn't a wrestler. She was like the ring announcer. She would be like, coming to the ring now, like
Lillian Garcia.
What was it? Yes.
Garcia. Yeah, our guy Bob Fox just interviewed her. You're fucking behind the blog. You just interviewed Bob Fox. He just interviewed her.
Lillian Garcia? Shit, I could have done another hour with him talking about her. She was the best because Lillian Garcia, she's kind of like the Kim Jones of wrestling, where like you could tell that she was like a real one. She's almost like when you go to the strip club and you actually like the bartender or the waitress, not like the stripper. That was Lillian Garcia. Like, yeah, we're going to have the divas and they're going to be naked. But then we got this chick over here who she really got me going. She was Cindy Margolis. Names like that just pop up in my head every now and then and just bring a smile to my face from like my days as a fucking horny teenager. What a world. And it's just not like that anymore. You know, like these kids these days are just flooded with like hot TikTok smokes and Instagram smokes. It's like, they don't even know what it's like to think about like a 6 out of 10 being hot. They never had to because everything's been an 11 and up.
Plus, there was no internet. It wasn't widely used. So
right.
For me, it was like Brooke Burke, and I'm like, who the fuck is that girl at like 8:45, 9 o'clock at night? I'm on an E.
Exactly, man. We had to take what we could get. That's why I always say the greatest generation.
I was going to say the greatest generation. We know what it was like before the internet. We know what it was like after the internet. We worked for everything in the beginning of those internet days when it was dial up and you had to fucking go on Napster, LimeWire, hope the song you downloaded was a song, hope the porn you downloaded was a porn, not a virus or another kind of porn.
Family computer of all
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta make sure you clear your internet history and your temporary internet files and all the ways that they can catch you. But then, you know, nowadays, like, look at this. Look at this. I'm sitting in my studio. What do I have here? I just have a sex toy. I don't know why. Everywhere you look now, you're just surrounded by sex and smokes. And it's like, it's crazy. It didn't used to be this way. I promise you, kids.
But it's not bad. And everyone who is young these days listening to this podcast in your teens, high school, college, you're going to go through this stuff. And you have a little bit of that greatest generation in you as well, as do we, obviously. The young kids, though, our kids, they're living in fucking HD videos, streaming from their phone the rest of their lives because their baseball lives are instantly better.
Dude, I mean, we're going to know the dark days of Mets baseball and be able to compare it to the light. You know, like without darkness, there can be no light. And for so long, people told me, A, it builds character, and B, it's going to be that much sweeter when you do win. And there came a point where I was like, I genuinely don't think we're going to win. So, like, fuck that logic. Like, no. But now that we're going to get Steve Cohen, let me ask you this. Would you rather just be us right now or go back in time and have been a Yankee fan all those years? You could have just grown up with a dynasty. You could have grown up in your formative years with Jeffrey Mayer all the way through the Subway Series and been happy. Or you could be us, who lived a horrible existence, but now, almost in my mind, guaranteed so, to have a championship soon enough where we'll be able to be like, it is that much sweeter. Like, Yankee fans had their fun, but they were spoiled from Jump Street, whereas we will cry tears of joy because we've experienced the worst that baseball has to offer. And now soon enough, hopefully, maybe, but I think probably we'll get to experience the best that baseball has to offer. Are you going to go through the misery to experience the ultimate high? Or would you rather have just signed up for four championships in 5 years and, a teenage filled with baseball championships?
Now, are you talking? I don't have to be a gobbledygook Yankee fan, though. I'm a Mets fan.
Well, yeah, you don't have to be a fucking Goombats who, like, Joey Bag of Donuts who everybody just hates by looking at. You could be your normal self. I know that's kind of like, you kind of can't. You really can't separate the two because part of it, the chain and the wife beater and the arrogance comes from the winning, and the winning comes from the fucking, braggadocious bullshit. But for this hypothetical, I'll say you are still yourself. Actually, I don't know if you can, though. You really can't, because you would probably be a different person had you been, one of the cool kids when it came to, like, sports fandom.
No, I 100% would choose the goddamn championships in my formative years. Because you know what? Like, I can still feel the scars. I can feel Kenny Rogers 99 when I rub over myself. I can feel Timo Perez. I can feel fucking Beltran holding the bat on his shoulder. I feel all those scars, let alone the LOL Mets that we had a whole fucking bracket about. I would be 20 times richer right now. 20 times richer and just happier and better. I think Uncle Stevie's going to give us World Series. I don't know if I'm going to live to see that World Series because of all the drama my heart has gone through. I'd be 100 pounds lighter too. That's the other thing. I'm blaming the Mets for my goddamn weight problems, my money problems, every problem in my life can be traced. That's like the money is the root of all evil. No, the New York Mets are the root of all evil in my life. And that's what I'm going to pin it on. Those motherfuckers. And that press conference was, we've built this guy, Steve Cohen, who I didn't know from a fucking hole in the wall less than a year ago, right? Because it's been since December is when the whole Tiki thing started. I didn't know who he was. I built this man up as a mixture of God, Thanos, Dave Portnoy, and like the richest beings in the world. Yeah. And that press conference, he trumped the highest of expectations. I had it was perfect. He threw a perfect fucking game.
I can't believe it's such a symbolic way to start, where every other time one of my teams, particularly the Mets, have had that type of moment, an introductory press conference or the beginning of something new, they've botched it. I have to look no further than the Adam Gase press conference, where right off the bat, he blew the whole fucking thing, and honestly, his entire career with the Jets was over before it started because he looked like he was tweaking out on drugs. He instantly becomes a meme. He becomes a GIF, a Photoshop. My teams always botch things from Jump Street, and now all of a sudden, Jump Street became an A+++ performance, a 10 out of 10, absolute perfection, where he just threw the script out the window and started talking like a real fan talks, and was promising World Series within 3 to 5 years. When he said, "I'm not here to make money," gonna come right then on the spot, Clem. Just perfection. I couldn't have scripted it better. I said this on Mail Time. When I'm done one day, just like Leo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can, when he went from forging checks to working for the FBI on how not to forge checks you flip sides. I always said I want to go to one of these organizations, whether it's a sports team or a network or whatever, and I'm going to consult for you, because I'll tell you as a blogger and a podcaster, well, don't put that in your press release because we'd make fun of that. Don't make that your headline because I would blog that. And I would write these scripts for you, and I would tell you what to do and what not to do. I I would have no notes. I would have not a single recommendation. I wouldn't have done anything differently than what Steve Cohen and Sandy Alderson, but mostly Steve Cohen did in that press conference. He said everything I wanted and then some to be as, I've been cocky, but there's like a little piece of my mind that was like, I don't know, what if he's not good? Or what if what if it is more of the same old Mets? And then I saw that, and now I'm like 150%. I'm going to talk all the shit in the world. I'm going to be as confident as can be because he's just hitting you with the real deal. He's just like, I'm fucking rich and I'm here to win and I don't care about anything other than that. Sounds good.
He seems very down to earth and like he's got that calming presence where he's like, I'm a fucking fan the same as you.
Yeah.
They asked him about the Kalenic trade and he gave the politically correct answer, but he was like, I don't really have much to say about that.
Great when he said like
their assets.
when he was like, you don't want to get tied down with bad contracts that can harm you for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm like, Robinson, paging Robinson, no. I mean, everything was perfect, dude, and I'm almost like I made a promise that we were not, we would not complain. We would not be negative. And, like, I don't even think I could be if I wanted to. It's like it's not even a possibility right now.
There was like, because again, I'm going through all the tweets. We were all living on Twitter that day and all that shit. And then all the stories afterwards and everything. And there's no one who could pick apart anything he said. And we watched like a little bit of those little like pressers at like the 92nd Street Y or whatever. And he would kind of talk. He was being more interviewed than like a press conference with questions. But he never came off like that. Cause I think this was just like, he's like, listen, I am now the richest Mets fan, most important Mets fan in the planet now. And I'm just going to run this like fucking it should be run. Like, we if we all had tons of money, we all know how the Mets should be run. Whether or not we ran it that way would be another question. And he said exactly. He's like, I have the notes here from Kyle. Doesn't want to be good 1 year. He wants, 1 year, 2 years. Like it's fucking the Will Ponds where they spike your blood sugar. You go up, you're good, and then you just crash down to earth. He wants this thing to be good, build it from the farm system, have the money, buy the guys you need to work. He said the word sustainable. That was my come moment. He said sustainable. Yeah. That's what I fucking need. There was 2 come moments for me. Sustainable was one, and then the I word, and it wasn't infrastructure, believe it or not. Iconic. When I heard them say the word iconic, I got goosebumps just saying it. They want to be one of those teams where like the Mets are what they should be. And even he had all the notes on the press conference. I thought the Black Lives Matter thing, like I think that was important where he actually doesn't, kind of just circumvent around it. He says Black Lives Matter because they fucking do. All those like kind of things were like he just hit every single point absolutely perfectly. I just couldn't believe it was the happiest moment I've had as a Mets fan. It was honestly.
I know, which is crazy. And honestly, Tommy was making fun of us, and I've seen a bunch of Yankee fans clowning us, being like, how sad that, your guys' best moment is like a press conference introducing a new owner. And to that, I say 2 things. Number one, you're not understanding the scope of this. It's like getting excited for if you're the Cavs and you got excited because you drafted LeBron. Like, oh, how sad that Cavs fans' best moment is when they drafted somebody. It's like, well, yeah, it's about to change absolutely fucking everything for us. And 2, I really think this has got to. I think we are the best, most informed and engaged fan base in maybe all of baseball. And so I think it doesn't have to be on the field. It doesn't have to be home run highlights. It doesn't have to be, in the action moments. We come over infrastructure here on this podcast, okay? So, yeah, understanding that front office and higher-ups and management and ownership is what truly, like, to me, fantasy baseball is about those guys. I'm more interested in I'd rather see the list of candidates for the GM job than I am let me see the free agent list of 2021 because that's how you get sustained success. So I think we're savvy enough to understand the importance of this for a long-term run of success, and we're not just the jackasses who are like, can't wait to see that guy in pinstripes, like every single free agent that comes along.
That's going back to your question of would you rather have been a Yankee fan the whole time or a miserable Met fan who's now happy? I don't think I'd be that into baseball, to be frank.
Yeah, right. You would be as like,
I'll watch when we get to the playoffs. Like those fucking, everyone's got a Yankee hat walking around. You ask them who's their best reliever, who's coming out of the bullpen. They have no idea.
They don't know. Yeah,
that invested.
Same thing I'm seeing with the Patriots now. now that I see that the Patriots fans are all either Tampa Bay fans or they just don't really care that the Patriots are bad now, I'm like, well, did you guys – I wouldn't have even cared when you had your dynasty going because it clearly doesn't mean that much to you. So, yeah, I mean, part of me – the only reason I think the kicker for me that's tough is when we do – let's say it's a 5-year plan. Let's say we win the World Series in 5 years. We're going to be in our 40s, dude. Like, we can't party and enjoy it like we used to. When they were winning championships, it was like you're with your buddies, you're at a bar, you're at a party, you're a young kid, there's magic. For us, it'll be like, we're watching it while we're also doing like our fucking 10-year-old's homework. It's not the best time in life to win it, but the satisfaction. I mean, I will weep like an absolute baby. It will be, an important moment of my existence, no doubt. So, but it is an interesting question, bird in the hand sort of thing. Would you rather have, 4 championships, 5, 4, 5 5 including 09 for like your lifetime, or
the baseball god
one?
Yep, there's no more.
It's an interesting debate to say the least. Now, all right, here's my one thing. Attempting to be negative, attempting to just like play devil's advocate or brace myself. And it's such a stretch because there's nothing else to say here. My one concern is, can it become a negative that he is a fan, that he is like so emotionally invested that like you do something impulsive or stupid? I know he specifically said like, I'm not an impulsive guy, but like, I said this to Kyle the other day, just throwing out like a hypothetical. What if like when he was watching the Mets in 2006 and he saw Albert Pujols on the Cardinals and was like, man, that guy was so fucking good. I've always he was my favorite player. And all of a sudden Albert Pujols is a free agent. And you're like, you know what? Let's just like, I want to bring him to Queens, and you give him a bad contract just because you were like a stupid fan. Could something like that get in the way? Or is he so much of an assassin that he lets, he's a fan, but he's like a winner first? Because the only thing I could think is that maybe he gets a little too emotional because it's not just an investment, that it is like a lifelong, dream thing of his where you don't like the one thing I could say I don't like, and we're really splitting hairs here. It all kind of goes back to the Twitter account and everything. Like, I like the businessman version of Steve Cohen. I want the billions. I want the hedge fund guy. And it seems like with the baseball team, he's different. It seems like he's a little more friendly and a little more open and a little more outgoing. And I kind of want him to be the shadowy fucking asshole who's going to like bend the rules and do whatever it takes and like stomp on you. Whereas this seems a little more like, what's up, Mets fans? I'm just like one of you. Like, how you guys doing? Let's go win. And I'm like, okay, as long as you still bring that fucking badass mentality with you when it's time to get shit done.
Yeah, I think that the guy on Twitter, I think, is a little bit of the businessman too, right? Because at this point, he knows like he has to kind of repair the relationship with the fans, and he can't just be this shadowy guy and let his, the social media team, his PR team. I think part of that might be what he's thinking too, because we're all eating it up, right? I'm like, who the fuck? I'll see someone quote retweet. I'm like, who are they quote retweeting like a fucking, you can see like there's like, it's deep in a thread and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And Steve Cohen's like replies are getting to like the fucking quote retweet, and they're all fucking like, they all hit the nail on the head. But like, that just makes me more excited. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. He's getting us more excited. And I think it's a fair criticism to have. I also think like,
it's not even a criticism. It's just that's fear. A potential pitfall that maybe I'm just trying to grasp at things. So I am prepared for any possible negative, because right now all I see are positives.
I was trying to explain to someone today. So like, he's insulated himself enough where it's like, if he's at the top, then it drops down to Sandy. Then from Sandy, it branches off to like the baseball ops guy and like the president GM. And then there's 3 guys underneath that. So the way I was hearing it is like, if news gets up to him about what's going on and it's not good news, the people all below him aren't going to like it. But if everything's going well, you're not going to hear from him. So it's like, how is he going to step away is the question.
Right. And I mean, I think you had told me you heard like he's very hands off until he's hands on. And that's why we saw the Red Wedding, where it was like, all right, he's got control. He's going to get the ball in motion. Whoosh, like you're all gone. And now hopefully he puts his guys into place and he just steps back and lets the baseball minds do the right thing. I just hope that it's not like even the Twitter thing. Like, yes, he's like repairing the image. But for me, I think social media can only really ultimately be a negative. Like the day that we do lose and some fans chirping him, what if he says something back that's not right? Or what if he likes a fucking all the things that are LOL Mets come from dumb shit like social media. So, oh, did you see Steve Cohen liked a tweet of like a porn star? Or like Steve Cohen followed this guy who loves Donald Trump or like dumb shit like that, where it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with any of this. But as long as he's like careful with it and uses it for good, I'm all about it. I just don't want, now that we're here, I just don't want any bullshit to get in the way. So like just go. And that's what I liked about the hedge fund guy. There was no bullshit. Because there was nothing, period. It was just money and business and success. And I didn't want to see that with the baseball team. I am like, I need to jump in a time machine. Like this offseason is going to be forever waiting to get back on the field or get, I guess more so, I'm going to be a guy who's more interested in the offseason than I am in the regular season now. Now that I got Steve Cohen, I want to know how he does business, and his time to shine is really off seasons. I mean, you have to think Francisco Lindor's coming here, right? You have to. You just have to. You have to, Clem. He's coming here. Francisco Lindor is basically the shortstop for the New York Mets.
He's just start printing the goddamn jerseys right now. Yeah, we're gonna start thinking of Lindor shirts, I guess, while we're here.
I might put them on sale right now. What do you say we just put some Francisco Lindor Mets shirts on sale right fucking now? That's how confident I am. And the only time in my life, there's only been one time, seriously, one time in my life that I had ever been ultra confident in the New York Mets. And do you know what time that was? That was 2015 against the Royals. When we were going into that World Series, I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, and I still contend I was right. But I was like, we are absolutely the better team. We are going to win this series. And if they didn't play like a bunch of slapdick assholes in the field, they would have been. But the only other time I've ever felt that confident is that series, and I'm feeling the same way about Lindor coming to the Mets now. It just makes too much sense. He's going to be traded. We know it. There's a team that needs that position, that needs to make a splash, with an owner that wants a big-time franchise cornerstone. I mean, that has the pieces to trade for him. He's coming. He's coming, Club.
I do think if Sandy says this is the way to go, then it's gonna happen. I mean, that's one of the
Yankees are in on it. You think they're gonna let the Yankees do that? No fucking shot.
I kind of want him to sign LeMahieu because that's the one thing that gets Yankees upset.
Yeah, I want both. Give me both. I want LeMahieu, Lindor, and Arenado, and I might get all three of them. Let's do it.
Like the Stevie run right now. It's just like the second inning. Where it's like when Johan, you're like, oh shit, Johan has it tonight, or Pedro has it tonight. Like you're thinking there's going to be a no-hitter you're about to watch, and that's exactly like there haven't been any hard hit balls. There might be a hard hit ball here and there that's going to like make your heart jump a little bit, but I mean, this guy is everything we thought he would be. The 3 to 5 year time frame too. I fucking fell in love with that because I was explaining to a buddy of mine who's a Yankees fan who is a diehard fan, but he's not like a diehard baseball fan, and he didn't really know much about Cohen. He's like, honestly, how long are you going to give him to like win a World Series? And this was back in August when we did the emergency pod when he was announced he was buying the team, and I was like, honestly, I said 3 to 5 years. I was like, 5 years seems a little long. 3 seems good. And the fact Steve said 3 to 5 years, and I'd like to make it before then, that is like a realistic goal, an aggressive goal, and a goal, the exact goal the fans want to hear all at the same time. This guy is fucking us just with more money than our fucking brains could ever
imagine. As like a college football coach, you come in and none of those guys are your guys. So you have to get those guys that are there out. You give them 2 to 3 years. By the third year, if it's not then this isn't going to work, and then you move on from that. So, like, if that's the case, I'm sure in 3 years he's going to clean house and be like, okay,
again. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's like joining a program that already has, a lot in place. They already have a lot of good players that can do a lot of good things that you either can ride with or use to get other pieces. And I feel like anything he does, he's not going to have that long of a time frame. Like, he's not here to do something in 10 years. He wants to do it right fucking now. So, I mean, I just can't see a scenario unless, like, Like I remember in like 03, was it? 04, when they went and got Mo Vaughn and Jeremy Burnitz and Roger Cedeno and all those names. And I remember being like, oh shit, we're going to be good. But I wasn't like, oh, they just went and got like, franchise cornerstone blue chip players. They just got a bunch of names. This, I feel like we're going to be obtaining and acquiring some major fucking names, some like undeniably good names. And so how could you not be confident? Unless you are so battered. Put it this way. I've got to be the most negative, aside from Frank the Tank. I'm the most pessimistic Mets fan from the planet Earth. Let's say that, okay? And even I, unless you're so battered that you just truly believe the Mets curse outweighs everything, like if you get Francisco Lindor, he's gonna be a good player. Jacob deGrom, already established, awesome. Like these are guys. Finally, we're gonna be dealing, as he said, we're gonna be shopping in the gourmet aisle where it overcomes the jersey on the front. And the problem was, as Clem said so accurately and eloquently that one time, like it's not a curse. It's that we're a bad franchise with bad owners, bad management, bad PR, bad trainers, bad everything. And now we're going to get good versions of all that shit, and we're going to get the best players. So the Mets stank is going to become the Mets allure, the Mets shine, because that's what this guy does. So there's no reason. How could you be negative anymore?
If you're negative after this one, like you should just stop following baseball. There's honestly no reason. This is bigger than signing LeBron for like a basketball team, because this guy could bring you the LeBrons of his sport forever, and he wants to like Kev. As he was saying all this shit, and as I gave myself time to process like what Steve Cohen wants to do, he's doing exactly what you asked him to do. Like, this is your moment. Seize your moment. I didn't know who Steve Cohen was a year ago. He's fucking, the centerpiece of Billions, the inspiration of Billions. Never saw Billions. Don't follow fucking, may surprise you guys, I don't really read the Wall Street Journal that much. I don't know the first fucking thing about Steve Cohen, right? This guy could be a fucking New York legend, a sports legend. I mean, no one knew who the fuck George Steinbrenner was when he bought the Yankees, right? It's right. The same exact thing again. And like the Yankees are a special franchise because like they're the fucking Yankees, right? But like the guys who save the Mets, like that is its own very unique. And if you turn us into an iconic franchise, a gem of baseball, which all you have to do is like just add water. It's the fan base is there, the passion is there, the money is there. You don't have to do that much. You just have to fucking run it right. And I do think he's gonna run it right because he's gonna run it correctly because he's done with his business. The businessman Steve Cohen, I know that guy's going to do the same thing in baseball. He's going to put the right people in place. He sees Sandy Alderson, and he's like, oh, this is like this dude at SAC. You know what I mean? And he's just kind of like I think he's smart enough to know who knows what they're talking about, who has like revolutionary ideas. The baseball Mavericks going to look for other guys like that. We were talking, Kyle and Bren last episode. We were saying we might do like a 2 GM structure, some weird, crazy fucking Oakland A's kind of shit with the Mets. I think that's the kind of stuff he's going to do. And to bring up your Yankees point, because we talked about him earlier, I love that he was like, I don't want to be the Yankees. I'm competing with 29 teams. And I understand, listen, we all know, like, we're the little brother in this fucking thing. And I know what it's like punching up. As a Giants fan, I get all the Jets fans chirping me and all that kind of shit. I understand what that is. Guys, that's fucking over. We don't worry about the Yankees anymore. We worry about all 29 teams, and we win fucking World Series now. Yeah. And I honestly think it was trolling because him and Sandy both said multiple times during that press conferences, the Yankees have, 27, 28 World Series. They said that both multiple times. Do you guys go on Twitter? 27 rings that's the only thing I fucking hear when the Yankees are in the goddamn World Series. Right. So I have complete and utter faith in him. And I just love that and the other thing too was when he goes, there were other bidders. I don't remember. Like that's the Steve Cohen I'm gonna love. Like the little he follows A-Rod on Twitter. He gave him the jab. He didn't even have to. It wasn't really a thing. And the other thing that I loved about that press conference was those New York reporters. They didn't they gave him some tough questions, and he gave everything without giving the runaround answer or the bullshit politically correct. He answered it fair, but he didn't run away from it either. And it was honestly, it was a perfect. The only issue with that press conference was I honestly don't know if Sandy Alderson knows it's the year 2020. I think he's 2010.
I know. He said 2011 5 fucking times. That wasn't the best. But speaking of New York reporters, there's one less in the circuit right now. Because Laura Goldman got absolutely beheaded Just absolutely shoink. I mean, Steve Cohen does not like Laura Goldman. He was as open as he can be about that one. And speaking of other reporters, Charles Gasparino reported that Steve was cited splitting a bottle of wine with Jeff Wilpon, which is just was it Jeff or Fred?
Jeff. It was Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy. After all the mudslinging and shit talking, that Steve would be like, that's some Godfather shit where it's like, come sit down, even though we're mortal enemies, break some bread, drink some wine. We'll act like civilized men, even though we fucking hate each other and I just dominate. But at the end of the day, he's like, yeah, you just gave me a couple $2 billion too. So, hey, money, we're all rich now. Money cures everything. And we can all just be happy middle-aged white guys. Like, what's better than this? but yeah, that was I couldn't believe that. That's
someone doing Bore on the Floor with them, like from Succession.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, that's what I'm hoping it was more like that, where he was like, sit down, Jeff, and he was like, no, it's okay. And he's like, sit down. Like, I want to like make you uncomfortable. I want you to be my little puppet, my little bitch here. But that, and then, yeah, he said that Laura Goldman doesn't know anything that she's talking about. So everyone who thought of her as an insider, which we used to follow her as well. Until I stopped as soon as I found out that she is like a Jeffrey Epstein apologist. That was it for me. But yeah, he says she doesn't know shit about anything. And so, yeah, he's already mixing it up in the scene. He's already Mama Cohen is already talking with Clem. She's been mixing it up with him. At
Cohen Give. Follow at Cohen Give right now. You get your free bag. I already ordered mine. Everyone's getting their free bags. We're giving back. I cannot stress this enough. This isn't doing any kind of good deeds. We're not trying to get anyone on the show, anything like that. This is just everyone knows how good this makes you feel. Pass the fucking good positivity, the good juju along.
Good juju.
Yeah, good juju in the world, man.
Whatever Alex Cohen is putting out there to do good for this world, we have to reciprocate and do it as well. They are going to bring us so much happiness and so much joy. Don't wait until it's, the parade to do something nice for them. Do it now. Go to Love to Give. What's her account? Alex Mama 5. Mm-hmm. Go to her Twitter, follow her. Check her bio, check her tweets. She has all the links to all the charities and foundations and movements they're doing, and participate. The one is free. You just sign up. You just put your name, your email address in, and they're going to donate a bag full of goodies like in your name. It's all free, and it's what the Cohens want to achieve outside of winning. It's what we should help them achieve, because what we want is to win. So go join in. That's the thing. Like, we always say we're like the best fan base, and this is the kind of shit that, like, let's prove it by being like by helping the Cohens, by doing what they want to do, by going the next, like, taking that extra step. And while they are winning for us, we help them, achieve their goals of like philanthropy and charity and all that. And it's all about good, positive, do it for the right reason. Sure. Then you're golden. Do it for the wrong reasons. Do it because you just want the Cohens to like you and you want to put the good vibes out there so that the karma comes back around. Whatever your reason is, do it.
Fuck
Be
yeah.
the best fans in baseball.
Keep the good juju flowing. There's been a lot of bad juju. I almost thought about, I was going to do it before Steve bought the team. I don't know if it's too late now that he has the team, had the press conference. Maybe before opening day, I was thinking we do like the Last Dance where they wrote their poems and then they burned it in the coffee can. Like, we write all our bad Mets memories and we made a little haiku maybe about it all. I'm going to take the goddamn Mets misery bracket that we didn't even make it through the first round because there was so much fucking scars and pain, and we burn it all, and fucking the opening day gala,
that's it.
Start anew.
That's what we burn. I remember saying, like, all right, we'll get to the, we'll get to the Sweet 16, or we'll get to the round of 32 one day. Like, we'll always, if on a rainy day, we could always do the Mets misery. No, not anymore. That's gone. We're burning that bracket. We'll burn it with like some sage. We'll go to Citi Field and we'll fucking exercise the demons. Mets negativity dies on this podcast with that burning of the paper. I love that idea.
Yeah, we should almost have
add us. I'll put together the whole list. All the fans that are following us.
Yes, everybody. We're gonna crowdsource.
Personal Met moment is.
Put it all together. Everybody from Mets Fans Anonymous, give us your list. We'll compile thousands of Mets misery moments. We'll burn them all. We'll bury them all, and we start a new era.
They're at Gotta Believe Pod on Twitter, Instagram, or follow the Facebook group. We Gotta Believe. It's a great fucking Facebook group. Again, Zuckerberg's pouring money. He's pouring fucking resources into it. It's a place where it's just us, just like all like-minded fucking barstool, whatever it may be. We Gotta Believe listeners, all talking Mets without all the craziness, as we know, that exists all over, let alone Facebook or like just Twitter in general. We're all just like-minded people. Go there. We're going to put it together. And we're going to have the biggest fire the world has ever seen. It doesn't even have to be like Kenny Rogers walks in the fucking game-winning run. It could
Whatever.
be Bobby Baccalari wants to butt fuck your girlfriend after the Yankees win. Like, it could be very personal stuff. The Mets killed my father. Whatever it might have done. Yes. These guys have inflicted pain upon us. We're burning that pain. It's gone forever. It clears in the air like incense, like you said. And it's all fun because we've got, like, as in the words of a New York man once said, a man named Christopher Wallace from Brooklyn, we went from negative to positive. We had fucking player who said to his agent, call the Mets after seeing that press conference. I don't know if it was Trevor Bauer. I don't know if it was Marcus Stroman.
You look at that quote, that guy who caught on the phone with his agent said, call the Mets right now. You look at Noah changing his Twitter bio to say, hey, Steve Cohen, my name's Noah. I'm here to win. You look at Marcus Stroman immediately taking the qualifying offer and tweeting at Cohen, like, let's go rock. Instantly, everyone talks about like culture change, and it's always been bullshit with my bad teams. Guys like Jamal Adams trying to change the culture of the Jets, even though he just reinforced the culture of the Jets. This guy overnight actually changed the culture. It's totally different. It's all positive. And so we'll burn it, and that'll be the end of the Mets Fans Anonymous, and that's when we start the Church of Cohentology. We all become Cohentologists, and we start to worship at the Church of Cohen. There it is. The dawn of a new era. So now the podcast can actually be like, we got to believe, and it's true. It's real. We do believe. We actually do believe.
It's no longer said like, you got to believe. Like,
right. So you know what? So now the sign off. You ready to do it? Let's do the real one right here, baby. So we'll be back as soon as we start buying up all the free agents. So we make our trade for Lindor or Arenado or both. And until then, you got to believe.
We gotta believe.
We gotta believe.